We just done the video on farm safety. You left Wednesday afternoon and it happened Thursday afternoon at 4:30. It's an old self-unloading wagon that works similar to a manure spreader. It has a chain that pushes the corn forward on the bottom of the wagon. That day he'd come outside, he wanted to help Grandpa, and Dad said to him, "No, you have to wait till I turn it off and get back up by the swing set." And the next thing Dad knew, he heard him yell out. And we do know that Andy climbed up on the wagon and must have slipped and fell onto the PTO, or else it got a hold of his pant leg. We don't know for sure. Nobody saw it happen. I remember coming down the road and seeing all the cars in the driveway and wondering, well, what's going on? It didn't even dawn on me. And then I saw my brother-in-law standing there and his wife behind him a little bit, and her eyes were all red. She'd been crying, and I still didn't realize. And he said, "Michelle, there's been an accident." And I said, "Well, what kind? What happened?" And he said, with the PTO. And I thought it was Dad or Bob. I never in a million years thought it was Andy. And he told me, and I don't know, a lot of pain.
I think right here was the wagon. And right there was a tractor, and it was hooked up to the PTO. And then I slipped and fell on the PTO, and then I put my 2 feet here, and my head was right up here.
Okay, here was the tractor, and the PTO went off the tractor this way. And it hooked so I offered to the third grade teacher that Andy and I would come in and talk about farm safety, because all of the kids in school, kindergarten through 8th grade, knew what happened to Andy, and I thought it was important to them that they know how it happened. I'm going to show you some pictures. So we brought out the Kids Talk Farm Safety and showed them what a PTO was, how fast it moved. They were amazed at how fast it moved. Now this is slow motion. See how fast it's moving, even when it's slow motion.
We're on the PTO shaft. Most of them are spinning fast enough that even if just part of your clothes touches it, or if you've got a belt on, the belt isn't buckled, if that belt gets caught around it, it'll just beat you to death. Just keep going around that circle.
Don't play around PTO shafts because you can get hurt.
That's a lot of why we talk to younger kids instead of kids our own age, because younger kids are still impressionable. When I was 6, I was riding with the hired hand at the time, and the tractor, he lost control of the tractor, and we went off the road and hit a cement abutment marking a driveway. And when that happened, the front axle on the tractor broke and the wheel came off and the door came open. And then the force from the door coming open pulled me out of the tractor. The ground was pretty soft. It had just rained recently. And the impressions from where my body had landed were in the same place as the tire marks from the tractor. From all appearances, the tractor drove right over me, but I wasn't harmed at all.
Does anybody know somebody that's been hurt on the farm? A big person? Russ?
One of my dad's friends was crushed in some kind of machine that crushed him.
Killed him?
In 1978, I was trying to bale up some soybeans, and I was using a large round hay baler. Because they were so wet, it wasn't feeding properly. And I tried, I don't remember how many different, to get the bale started. And I had gotten off the tractor several times, shutting the baler off each time. Well, I finally decided that if I would pull a bunch of the hay up, just drag it along in front of the baler, and then leave it running and get off and kick it with my feet, that it would get a bale started. As it took the hay in, it also took my right foot. Eventually got to the place where there wasn't any place for my left foot to go, and so it got pulled between the rollers also. I'm in my second year of my doctoral studies in agricultural education. My research assistantship is directed toward farmers who had become disabled either by accident, disease, or old age, to facilitate their continuing to farm. I didn't think about my position as having been involved in a farm accident as lending itself to a career necessarily. And in fact, when I did think about it, I was hesitant because I didn't want people to think that that was all I could do.
In 1990, my brother and I were in an accident, and we were in a load of corn in a gravity wagon, and we were inside of it while it was unloading, and we were playing around and the corn started sliding down, and it took Matt all the way under and pinned me up to my shoulders. They're just little tiny pieces of corn. They don't look very dangerous.
Watch it!
He's at peace right now.
If you went to the top, it'll suck you under and suffocate you.
That would be scary, wouldn't it?
We try to look at it as positively as we can, that he lost one leg, he didn't lose both, he didn't lose his arms. He's still a beautiful, intelligent little boy, and he's still here. And I thank God every day for that he's still here, because he could be gone. The kids at school have been wonderful. They made a tape for Andy. They went from classroom to classroom, and they all sent him get well wishes. He got cards, and they were wonderful. He's 5 years old, and that's what I think has helped him, because he doesn't realize the limitations that he will have in the future. Not the way I know it, not the way other adults know it.
Okay, now in order to operate it, you just have to push on. Yeah. And that's just what a person, depending on where their amputation was, well, then they have to use the further up it is, the more of their shoulder that they have to use. Well, the main emphasis of the program itself was to allow the farmers to continue farming. Now, if they reached the point as I did, I farmed for 8 years after my accident. And it was mainly an economic decision. I mean, there simply was not enough income for 3 families. And I was in the best position to find something else to do, and so I did it. But the fact that I lost my legs in a hay baler was only a very small portion of that decision.
We've been to about 3 or 4 schools speaking about the accidents and telling the kids to watch out for themselves and their little brothers or sisters or even their parents.
I've also done a lot of work through my school's FFA chapter. We've done things in our elementary school and in our high school to help encourage awareness of farm safety. When people get to be our age, I mean, it's like suddenly they really pick up that attitude that, hey, nothing's going to happen to me. And then by the time they get to be like our parents' age, you know, they figure they've gone through life, they've done it this way for so long, it's not going to matter.
I don't know who really to direct this more to. Is it the older farmers who have gotten away with the things all of these years, or is it the young bucks who really don't know what life means? All they know is that they have never gotten hurt, and they're quick and they're fast, and they think they're smart enough not to get hurt. From the reading and from talking to other safety specialist people who have been in this, it comes down to a question of behaviors. How do you modify a person's behavior? Which, of course, is one of the things we try to do within education.
I think there's adults that think, yeah, it isn't going to happen to me. You're in a hurry. We have to work under a deadline, and you don't always think about what you're doing. You're thinking about, well, I got to get this done, and you're not thinking about what's going on maybe next to you.
You continually have to be reminded, because it is so common. It's out there every day, and you hurry up and you run in the house and eat something and run back out to it. It's always around you. And so there is a place for someone else to step in and say, hey, listen, you really have to pay more attention. And that it only takes once. With shortcuts, the first time you may view it as a shortcut. But the second or third or fourth time, that may become the preferred method because it does what you want it to do, and there is, up to this point, no consequence, really. My risk assessment was not good enough to say, hey, you better continue to shut that tractor off, or to shut the baler off every time before you get off, as I had done several times. But I thought I was doing what I needed to do to get the job done. And that was the wrong decision. Now, how do you modify that? How do you modify people's thinking so that whenever the time comes, they will be aware enough of the risk that it will affect their behavior?
I think it's just trying to reach people when they're still young, when they are at that impressionable age, before they develop these mindsets that we just kind of naturally develop the older we get.
Kids are unpredictable. They don't understand the consequences. Logically, they don't understand that it goes from step to step, and this could happen to them.
Yeah, whenever we played in them, we never really thought of them as being dangerous, because we were always on top of it, with the grain, until accident.
Looking back on it, he was thinking about helping Grandpa. That's all he had on his mind, and he was thinking, I'm not by the PTO, I'm climbing around it. I'm climbing over it, not realizing that he could slip and fall.
My feet were a good 3 feet from any moving part of the baler, so I didn't think about getting hurt.
Someone was watching out for me that day. I know that. Or otherwise, I don't think I'd be here.
Look, remember the last time you didn't put the weights on the front end of the tractor like you knew that you should have, and you tried doing whatever it was and the front end raised up? You know, put the blasted weights back on there next time. Slow down, take your time, you know.
There's a certain sense of immortality that kids have, and you have to prevent that they're ever in that situation. More than just telling them, don't do it. Because you can tell a kid, don't do it, and that isn't going to stop them.
Kids don't take responsibility for their own actions, and you have to do that. If you're going to go out and do something, you've got to be willing to take responsibility for it.
I'd say think about what the consequences are going to be in the future, whether it's going to hurt you or...
And one night I realized that life is more fragile than I ever dreamed it could be.
I think maybe in a way we expected Andy to be too responsible, too mature, and that's easy to do because he talks like a little adult, he acts like a little adult, that sometimes you forget that he isn't, that he's just a kid.
We could have bought a lot of hay with all the money we spent at the hospital. We all have had another chance to do something different, and I think I have probably been the benefit of a lot more than just a second chance.
Andy's doing very well. He's running. He's doing cartwheels. I'm very proud of him. We all are. He's just done superb. God, he looks good. He looks good.